webinars. So without further ado, I would like to start off by introducing Ms. Faaeza Al Katheeri, who has more than 15 years experience in the oil industry, and she has started in exploration in ADNOC, and she has also moved between ADNOC group of companies, and she has also enhanced her knowledge in both conventional and unconventional resources exploration. Currently, she is a geoscience manager working with Dhafra Petroleum on their organizational change and corporate excellence project. She has also been an active member of SPE's Abu Dhabi section, where she was a board member, and she was also selected as a chairperson of the board for 2017-2018 term. And she has also been an active member in ADNOC's Gender Balance Committee for 2017-2018. So before we start off, I would like to bring your attention that we're going to have a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. So please use the Q&A box, not the chat box, the Q&A box to pose any questions you may have for our speaker today. And without further ado, I would like to introduce Ms. Faaeza Al Katheeri. Faaeza, the floor is all yours.
Thank you very much, Faye. Can I share the presentation now? Can you see the screen?
Yes, we can see this.
Okay. So, assalamu alaikum, everyone. And I didn't tell you all happy Ramadan and Mubarak alaikum al-shahr. Today I'm going to talk about leading through a crisis. And actually leading through crisis is a hot subject these days, because what we are all going through is totally new for everyone, and it's going globally. So I chose this topic because it's a learning curve for myself as well, as I'm a pure technical subsurface, if you know the geology and all of these. But I was introduced to the crisis when the pandemic started, and I'll get you more about my experience through this, inshallah, later on. So I would like to ask you, what is the crisis management? And simply, it's acting in time. So all of the management approaches that we all know, all the MBAs, all of the leadership, in the normal times, we put strategies and we put plans, business plans for 5 years, 10 years, 2030. But in the crisis management, it's all about acting in time. Time really matters when we are talking about crisis. And I chose these 3 words only to represent the crisis management, but I'll get you through it. The first question I would like to ask you, and I would like here to see if, I don't know how to see the responses later on. Yeah. So do you think that the COVID-19 is a medical? Do you all think that the COVID-19 is a pure medical crisis? The answers will help us to understand what is the crisis that we are facing today. And it will give us the level of the first step of level of our understanding to face this pandemic. So great, yes. It's a mixture of multiple dimensions. And actually in the beginning, when governments started to realize that there's a crisis coming in, some of them, they didn't act because they just felt like that this is just a flu. This is just a medical cases that happened in a certain place, and that's it. So understanding the crisis will help us to know. So the majority answered it's a mixture or a mixture of multiple dimensions. And yes, it's a complicated crisis. That is a mixture of medical, financial, supply chain, economic, and psychological. So all of these complexities and each category can represent a crisis by itself. But today all came together. مثل ما يقولون المصائب لا تأتي فرادى, and all the problems doesn't come once. It's a mixture of different crises that we see. Okay, today I'm going to talk about only the psychological and the leadership. There is a special sessions for the economical and the supply chain and the financial, where I will not touch it today. So in the crisis, in the complex crisis, we need an integrated, comprehensive processes that will tell us what is the restrictions, what are the impacts that we are looking at, what is our biggest anxiety, and do we understand the level of the pandemic that we are facing today? And as a leader, every one of you, do you understand your role as a leader in facing this pandemic? Does the role of leadership only goes for those who are in the hierarchies, or every one of us can lead his response to face the pandemic? So I'll give you here an example of managing routine crisis or routine risk. So all of the crises that we have been through, or the humanity have been through, like volcanoes, crashes, war, fires in the forests, all of these are considered as a routine crisis or routine risks, where we have data available, known as a risk. We know our risks that we are facing, and it's controllable. And if you see here, while we go up, it's low risks, preventable, and the risk is describable. We know what we are facing, and there are a lot of mitigation plans that we can apply, like the internal control, boundaries, and system, and so on. I will not go through it. And there are also some external risks, which is considered as a very high routine risks, where it's out of our hands, and the risks, we can put scenarios, and we can control it by the war games and so on. But this is not what we are facing today. And to describe for you what we are facing today, we have to plot the uncertainties. So today, or previously, we faced the data and controllable risks, but today we are facing uncertainties. And if you look at this plot, you will see that the y-axis talks about, or mentioning the uncertainty about the frequency, and the x-axis is talking about the uncertainty about the consequences, which we don't know. And in this case, for the uncertainties that we are facing in the pandemic, there's no solutions, there's no controls, and we don't have enough data to understand it. And let me here plot the routine risks that I just presented for you. It happens, we know how frequent it happens, and we know exactly the consequences. Then, by the risk mitigation plans, we can lower down the risk from high to low. But what we are facing is the whole uncertainty is really big. In this case, we call it interactable risk, where we can't figure out it. We don't know how often it happens, and we don't know what is the next step. We don't know how long it will stay. And I'm not here to scare you, but I'm telling you how uncertain we are about what we are facing today. So I would like here to also ask you about the what are some of the unusual issues and questions, the decisions you are facing today. Can you tell me what you are facing on daily basis since the isolation started? Since the, for example, the working from home started? What is the highest anxiety that you are facing? Okay. And actually, this question was part of our session in Harvard, where from the global, we had more than 2,000 join that session. And there are different answers of these questions and different challenges that people are facing working remotely from home. I thought that everyone is happy about working from home. But yes, and actually I can tell you select all of the mentioned challenges. But I'll share with you here the challenges that discussed in the session in the session that I attended. So most of the attendees mentioned that this is a fast crisis. So it started December 19, and today we are in May 7th. And look at how many people, how many countries are suffering from this pandemic. And it's also uncontractable. It's unknown, global, and personal at the same time. So it's everywhere in the globe, but every one of us is facing it personally. And there are too much communicated information. Look at your WhatsApp. Since the pandemic started, look at the huge amount of information, medical information, bad news, good news, people who find the medicine, then those who didn't find, the percentages of the death, and percentages also for people who are sick. In addition to, everyone is trying to advise you from their personal point of view about what to take and what to not to increase your immunity or immune system. There is no existing strategies, and there is disruption from the other crises. Who care about the oil prices drop when we are facing the COVID-19? Yes, we get shocked about the minus numbers of the Texas or the US oil prices, but look at how big is the COVID-19 that covered a lot of other crises. The large scale of this pandemic, and it's also beyond our capacity. There is no resources or no knowledge about it. People are trying to solve this problem through experiments. So what we can do, when we are facing all of these challenges, personal and global and politics and all of this, what we can do when no one knows what to do, when we have a lot of challenges inside and outside our houses, in the organization, and also sometimes in the countries. All what we have to do is to figure out it in real time, under stress. And this is what the crisis leadership is: working under stress and in real time. And this is what is the COVID normal, a new normal. We know all that it will be temporary, and inshallah it will go very soon, but indefinite or indefinite period. We don't know when. So all what we can offer today is putting the best processes. And during putting that process, we have to resist the pressure of provide quick answers. And I want you to recall those who are political speakers who are talking about or who are giving fast responses. Most of them, they turn out to be wrong if they didn't prepare themselves to give the right answer. So in the crisis, you never give a quick answers until you study it, and that's why the governments chose to speak about these crises through the proper channel. Don't take it from out of these official channels. Remind yourself and others that we don't yet fully understand it. Nobody understands it. Nobody knows the situation. How many of you know the real numbers of the announced health situation? Nobody knows. Nobody knows yet. And there's a lot of arguments how this started. But we know that it will take time. And during that take time, we need to learn and develop the best approaches. The third thing is to activate the best processes that we can with the best people. And the process that I will talk about here is very simple, which gives you the answer of the COVID-19 questions. Put a structure, establish a critical management team, and focus on the right people. Try to gather them, assemble them. And the third approach is problem-solving methods. And this is really, really, really important, because if I'm not open to solve this problem, it will be a huge disaster. If today I'm not open-minded about the new approaches, the new strategies, governments today are talking about what will happen after the COVID-19, where we are today within or through the COVID-19, still we have to figure it out. We have to be open to the new solutions and new ideas. So I'll go through it in a slight detail, but not too much detail. The first step of the process is to build a structure where we have to create a critical incident management team who can see the whole crisis from all aspects, like medical, logistics, economics, organization, employees, anything that I have to consider in my problem solving, I have to consider it through the structure that I will put. And here I have to make sure, or you have to make sure, about the preparation of the true leaders. And these true leaders, they have to cascade the message in a very honest feedback about the actual circumstances and being credible. Don't lie, don't hide. Well, partially hide, because the next step is to give false hope. People nowadays, they need to hear a hope, a good news, to be optimistic, to feel positive about what is happening. This will help your team and yourself to move forward and to be open also to come up with the good ideas. However, don't give the full reality, but don't lie. Part of the reality, and this is what is happening. For example, if a government gave a certain number, believe me, they give it for a hope, because I'm sure that the numbers are high. But people need that hope. In cascading the message of the crisis, don't destroy people's hope. The second step of the process that we have to put in crisis management consideration is assemble the right people. And who are the right people? People who know the company and the organization very well. And those who know the organization, they should understand also the policies and the medical situation and the public response, in addition to know your employee, know the employees of the company, and give the priority as per the objectives of that company or the organization. And here I put a schematic here that the leadership team, they should put a core team, which is in a working group with different groups of SMEs. these SMEs should be in a different disciplines. So because we will face a lot of changes during this pandemic, or this crisis is complex. So I need people who will talk about the financial, economics, companies' performers, communication. I need different disciplines. And these rosters should be also distributed so I can use them whenever I need. And the communication is very important during this time between these groups and the core team. The third, which is my favorite step, the problem-solving method. This will need not thinking out the box, thinking without a box. Because what we are facing today is something that we never thought about, or we never faced before, personally, government, globally. So, and also it's called design thinking. And I'm sure that the innovation people or the startup teams, they know exactly what I'm talking about here. So in the problem-solving methods or design thinking, we need to understand the situation and prepare the description of the crisis. Not only that, prepare the descriptions of the crisis impact. It will allow us to be very clear in identifying later on the options, develop the options, be very creative. And those old mindsets, they have to excuse us because we have really need to try to go out of what we used to do in problem solving methods. Yes, experience is needed, but remember, I'm telling you that this is the first time we are facing it. Predict the outcomes of each option, analyze it, and choose the best course of action, meet the company's best objective. When they told us don't work from the office and start working from home, I'll give you an example from our company. It was Thursday, and the HSE manager told me, Faaeza, why you are coming here and you have to go home. Khalas, we will start moving all the teams or all the company 100% work from home. And since that, all of the company were fully equipped with all of the devices they need to work from home to meet the company's objective and to not sacrifice our strategic also objectives. So we have to take these actions to make sure that we are meeting our company's objective. Then execute. And under the execution, I'll tell you, act not fast, very fast. Go with the high speed. And things might happen anytime. If you didn't act fast, it will drive you. So be fast than the fastest thing that might happen. Take the real-time leadership and action. From the execution, we might go back again to understand the situation because it's changing. And things are moving so fast, and we might fail, and we might go back again to understand the situation. So it's not a one-way process. It's different. It's like a looping. We execute and go and understand, develop options based on our new understanding, and so on. And before that, we will need to establish the goals, priorities, and values as one team. And the team should be together, communicating together. I will avoid, or I will suggest to avoid single action or individual actions. It should be as a team. And moving from that team, I will talk about the team wisdom. when we talk about the agile approaches and the creative open-mindedness, we have to talk about the agile teams to navigate the uncertainties and also come up with new conditions, create conditions to succeed or to succeed in problem solving. And here I will talk about tools and methods. So I would like to ask, I don't know if this is one of the questions, Faye, but what are the issues that you're facing today with your teams as leaders, managers, CEOs, or team leaders? What you are facing today as leaders? I
I
don't know.
think, yeah,
There's no question?
we asked it prior, and we can,
I see,
yeah,
I
build
see.
on it.
Okay. But one of the, I was just asking verbally also my uh, colleagues in the office and also in the my sisters and brothers. They told us that being apart, and I remember that majority said yes. Thank you very much, Faye. That the majority said working remotely is one of the challenges that I are facing. And I'll tell you, if the leader depend only on the emails, one of the studies released by Harvard Business School is that 30% of the employees read their emails only. So if you will give any instructions, cascade messages, please don't depend on the emails because no one look at it. But because we are moving with our mobile phones, texting can work, phone calling can work, and also video calling can work even better. And I'm sorry that I didn't put my video here because I'm facing some problems. And remember, communication is an important tool for decision makers to observe their teams, listen to them, and cascade the message. And one of the things that I learned from my leadership in my senior management in ADNOC is to communicate continuously. Don't communicate, then forget about people, then no, keep communicating with people. Even not only to follow up with the work progress, but even to ask about how do they feel, how we can support, how we can help you during this difficult time. Uh, One of the things that before I move to the team work is to understand that this team is facing a volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous situation where leadership is needed. And believe me that today all people are looking at leaders. We are looking at our leaders in the country. We are looking at leaders in the senior management. We are waiting for instructions. However, that doesn't mean we are not leading ourselves to act safe as well. And here I would talk about the distributed leadership. The normal hierarchy tells you that the CEO sits here, vice presidents, and then the employees. And in the normal working hours or in the normal working conditions, we see that the leadership sits only in the top of the hierarchy. And I'll tell you, in the crisis, it's way different. In the crisis, you will find those who are who you didn't even give any attention during the normal days. They will act as leaders. In the lowest level, people natural leadership will pop up to act, to communicate, to give, to lead others. They should not necessarily to be in the top management. And I'll give you an example also from my company. Our IT system, when I told you that the full company was equipped during only 2 days, and I was discussing with the IT engineers, they told me that Faiza, we spend overnight to make sure that all employees are fully equipped. And I saw committed people with leadership. They are not leaders in title, but they are leading to ensure that everything is settled for the employees. So with leadership, how I can cascade the message and implement the process that I put. You remember when I talked about the process, put the structure, put the right people, and put the problem-solving methods, or apply the problem-solving methods. So to make sure that I minimize the losses of this process, I have to be very directive. And there are here I'll mention some steps just to consider, like assign a devil's advocate when you discuss with your team. And the devil's advocate is a way that I try to encourage everyone from the team to interact and come up with deep thoughts. I can assign that person before the meeting, so he can put challenges, and we try. The more challenges, the more deep we can come up with deeper ideas, and also big ideas. The second step is to shift into exploratory mode by framing and leading the discussion, and design the test brainstorming with additional information that could be obtained if possible. The third step is to adopt a joint problem-solving orientation and culture. And I'll be talking here about how to encourage your team to tell more, to advise more, to suggest more, to think more. Because sometimes, I don't know if you're facing this in the organization, you ask people for ideas or solutions, or a discussion. You will find that 70%, and these numbers are just from my head, the majority, without percentages, the majority of people, they don't react. They are just waiting for your actions. They are just waiting for your ideas. They don't give you. And there are some reasons behind that. I'll talk later about it, but try to be more open to the new ideas. Give people the freedom to speak up without any fear. Then the last step is to execute and lead in real time. And maybe I don't know if you can arrange another session about leading in real times to deal with the changes. And dealing with changes will get you in different levels by time as well. So, and here I would like to mention or to highlight more about how the problem, or solving the problems can go, and what is the adaptable thoughts about it. So in the normal working time, the management logic is working. You find the management instructions, guidance, prescribe and control, assumes the predictability, simple, give you interdependencies, emphasize an efficiency, clear shared criteria, hierarchy monitoring and controlling support. Do you think that this can work in the crisis? Waiting for the hierarchy, long processes, it will never work. And the best practice to apply during the crisis is the innovation logic, where everyone is enabled to learn and assumes the uncertainties. There is no 100% success, and assume that you will fail. You will fail, but failing will take me to lessons that I will succeed in the next steps. In the innovative logic, complex and interdependencies is considered, emphasized in the experimentation, especially in the medical sector, and also peer monitoring. They lead as a team, they discuss it as a team, and they support each other. It's not a hierarchy monitoring support. And this is one of the things that should be considered when we manage the crisis. And remember when I told you that you will fail? but fail well. And failing is never, never a shame during the crisis, because you are dealing with unknowns and that you will try different approaches. Failing is fine. Minimize the preventable failures by learning from the failure. Anticipate and mitigate complex uh, failures by complex factors that I have: a market, natural, organization, combine in completely new ways, and pursue and welcome intelligence failures. And I like a lot the intelligence failure because the intelligence failures is the main approach to come up with the medicine for the COVID-19. People fail in the labs, but they are a step forward to the solution. And this is what we call intelligent failure. And here for a reflection, I think there is a question, Faye? Uh, Faye? Yeah. So what might make it hard for individuals to speak about concerns, errors, and thoughts? And believe me, failing a lot will make people scared to share their failures. But we need that failures to learn from. What do you think? What might make them not share or speak up about concerns and errors of thoughts? Okay. Okay, the majority of the answers are: the environment is not inclusive, does not take everyone's views into account. And exactly this is what happened in NASA. I saw a video of an engineer in NASA. They interviewed him, and he realized that there is a mistake in the process, and he gets scared to share that information with his vice president. And the thing that he responded, and he said that I'm in this level, in the low level, and she's up there. I don't think that she will take my opinion in consideration. Guess what? There was a death after caused by not speaking up, and that's why they investigated. He knew that there is a problem, but that fear hindered him to speak up. So sometimes in the organization, individual might feel inhibited from speaking up with concerns, questions. Maybe they fear to share because they might be punished, or they might be embarrassed, or they might be not considered or respected. There's a lot of personal and also common reasons. But remember, when we share the fear, we share a lesson. When we tell what we are scared about, actually, we put our first step to the right solution. So, as bad as things are, the good thing that we are all truly in this. So, your fear is my fear, is their fear. And in the organization, you will see that the fear is equivalent. All levels are treated the same. All levels are treated the same. When I try to protect myself, people protect themselves. I mean, the managers, team leaders, team members, the fear is shared. And the fear most of us experience in this crisis is when we feel free to talk about it. And I encourage you to talk about your fears to your close friends, to your family, to your colleagues. It's fine. Everyone is feeling that anxiety and fear, and we are here to support each other. The feeling of being in together is characteristic of the team with high learning rates. And a question that will raise when we, inshallah, go back again to the offices and get connected again. Can we continue saying or telling our fears to each other? Are we encouraged to speak up when we are socially distanced? Or we will keep these fears inside us and go back again to the normal fears that we are facing in the in the offices or in our jobs. I hope that all of the good lessons will be implemented later on. And here I would like to share with you a very good book. It's The Fearless Organization, where people are encouraged to speak up, and it's describing the psychological safety of the organization. And in any organization, we used to have the safe 100% HSE, and people safety comes first. But this pandemic or this crisis introduced the leadership to the psychological part. How strong is it? And actually, if you want to lead these days, lead the employees psychologically, emotionally. It's more impacting the individuals or the team members than giving them instructions and measuring them by performance or appraisals or time attendance. So today, leadership is to lead people emotionally, and psychological safety is one of the things that encourage the people performance also to go up and come up with the new ideas, questions, and concerns or mistakes. And here I would like to explain, this is one of the book plots, a combination of clarity about what we are facing today, or my team members are facing. And here in the y-axis, we have the psychological safety. People can speak up or not if it's low, and the urgency. And remember, again, I can tell you that in the crisis, it's very important to consider the time and the urgency. So the apathy zone, which is low urgency, low safety, people are scared to speak, and actually you will find these people who are just silent when you ask for anything, just silent. They are just waiting. They know the answer, but they don't give you. They have good ideas, but they don't share it with you. And this zone is really toxic zone and very difficult zone. Then when their psychological safety go up, they start to be in the comfort zone. They don't feel bad about sharing ideas, but they might not give you what you want. And the other side, the urgency comes high, but with low psychological safety, people will feel difficult in sharing anything. And the interpersonal anxiety comes very high. And for the best ideal zone that we want to keep our teams in is the problem-solving zone, where people feel safe to talk, to speak up, to give you the idea, to interact with you, and in urgent basis. So here where you have to select your right people for the crisis management, and the right people for problem solving, the right people to lead in time and in the right way. I think the time is about to finish. This is, I think, the last few slides. Um, then the psychological safety should be considered here, or how we can nurture it by set the stage for everyone to speak and understand and feel positive about it. Put all the possibilities, invite them and engage them by insisting on dissent and asking good questions, and respond in the way that embraces messengers and foster the learning amongst the organization. And finally, I don't promise that this is the final solutions, because I'm sure that the attendees are rich with a lot of wisdom and lesson learned from this pandemic. But what I can tell you that everyone will face many unknowns through this pandemic, and we must bring it in different expertise at different times. And we often have to do things that we never did it before. I'm a geologist. I never thought that I would talk about crisis, but I did it. And I'm sure that everyone had a new experience through the crisis. Inshallah ya Rab, all of it, it's positive, and to learn from and making progress through. There are a lot of hypotheses that will come through our journey in this crisis, and I'm sure that these variables and these changes will not hinder us, or will not stop us to stand up together, and inshallah it will all go soon بإذن. And here we place our faith in our leadership, those who are working day and night to ensure that the pandemic and the crisis is dealt with professionally. There is a very, very nice quote. I can take it from Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, who always tell us, لا تشيلون هم, don't be worried. And I'm cascading his message to all of you, لا تشيلون هم, and don't worry. And thank you very much for hosting me today. And I'm open to any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Faiza. And I'm sure a lot of us are inspired by your words and by your wisdom. And we're sure that by a positive outlook and looking at ways we can move forward after this crisis is the only way we can go. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to emerge as leaders that we haven't thought of before. I'd just like to remind you again for the attendees, if you can fill out the survey, you'll find it in the chat. So please fill it out. And now we'll open the Q&A session. So Faiza, we have a couple of questions. Mm-hmm. First question is, what makes a leader different at the time of crisis? And are there special traits of a leader for them to succeed in such a crisis?
Well, I told you that, first of all, let's agree on one thing, that who is the leader? Are we talking about leaders with title or leaders without title? And through the crisis, titles doesn't matter. Through the crisis, acting in time matters. And in general, this is fundamental, that every one of us, for example, Faye, you are a leader in your house. Mm-hmm. Nasser, for example, he's a leader in his house. Myself, for example, I can lead my friends, and so on. The situation or the group that I'm leading differs from place to place. This is the first one. The second thing, as I mentioned, that leading in real time is the fundamental or the main thing in the crisis management, because everyone can lead in the normal time. Everyone can call himself leader. But when it comes into the crisis, you will know the right leaders. And when we screen the leaders from the countries, look at the European leaders, look at the US leaders, look at Middle East leaders, and you can see who is the real leader here. And if there is any special treat as a leader, mm, I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea. I don't know. It's like a general question.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think, yeah, exactly. Everyone can become a leader, and everyone can take action in different aspects of their lives. And I
Yes,
think that's very
Faye, I want to highlight one thing,
yeah,
that uh, considering yourself as a leader, but don't bypass your assigned leader.
of course.
Do not cross the do not break the process that we put.
Mm.
Okay.
Yes, I agree with you. So the second question is, why is the response to COVID-19 new and considered that we have not faced anything like this before? We have faced many pandemics, and why did we not learn from them or apply the lessons learned?
Okay, Abdullah asked this question.
Abdullah, yes.
Yeah, thank you very much, Abdullah. I'll ask you, or I'll ask everyone here. Um, in the last 20 years, 100 years, we heard about the Ebola, we heard about the SARS, we heard about a lot of medical crisis. We can take volcanoes also as a crisis. We can take hurricanes as a crisis. Again, these crises are routine crises. Remember the table I showed you before? It's routine risks that can be controllable. Even the earthquakes, which we don't know when it will happen. But after it happens, we know what we do because there are a lot of earthquakes happens before. But give me or when crisis happened that happened so fast like this. And the complexity of this pandemic, or the complexity of this crisis, it was so big because I don't know how to say it. It came with different contradictions. It's so personal, Abdullah. Abdullah, today when you go out from your house, you wear masks, gloves, you keep protecting yourself, your family, but it's also global. It's everywhere. It's not only you, it's everyone. So it's so personal and it's so global. It's politics played a big role in this. Medical, uh, 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 economical. Nothing happened like this before. And when you solve any problem, another problems come in. Um, and I don't know. It never happened anywhere else, in my opinion, at least within our lifetime.
Mhm.
And everyone is scared, including the big leaders. So look at what happened to Italy. They didn't understand the crisis. You know what the Italians said when it started? They said, "Oh, it's just a flu," and they kept their normal life. Look at what happened to them. Spain, Iran. They didn't understand the crisis. Alhamdulillah that we have leaders who understood the crisis very well. And Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, I find out that our Middle East or our region are very educated and responsible about their responses. So yes, it didn't happen before, in my opinion.
Mhm.
And why did not learn from them or apply lesson learned? They are applying, but did it work or not? Nobody knows. Still, they are trying. Say?
Yes, agreed. I think this might be something that's new. The pace that it's come is very fast and rapid and no one understands it yet. So I think that's the main issue, as you mentioned and highlighted. We have another question from Akram. He's saying that most of the models, such as problem solving, are reactive rather than proactive. Don't you think companies should shift their strategies to be proactive rather than reactive?
Yes, Akram, thank you very much for your question. Well, proactivity comes when you know what's going on in the future, right? And sometimes when you want to do proactive actions and things that you don't know, you will fail. And remember when I mentioned minimize the losses in the problem solving is also by analyzing and studying all of the options and ideas as well. So in my opinion, that proactivity in the pandemic and the crisis can be taken as a precautions of things that we have been told. So it will go back again to be reactive. I'm not sure that proactive in the pandemic and the crisis, if we don't know what is next, proactivity can get you lost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a double-edged sword. We might be proactive and then it might hinder us. We might run into bumps. So as you mentioned also in your presentation, looking deeply into the situation and understanding it further before taking any major steps is essential as we move forward. We have a question from Noura. What's the difference between the team established in the structure and the team in people?
Okay, in the structure, you have different levels, like the core team, who will analyze, who will go through all of the aspects of the pandemic. Then interactively with that core team, you have the SMEs who will help you and support you for decision making. However, that structure should include the right people. Right people are those who are open-minded, who are more innovative, and also oriented to come up with solutions. So I think the structure and people can be linked, highly linked. As a structure, what are the categories of the or groups that we are working in, and the team and people, what is the characteristics of those who will work within these groups?
Yeah, so differentiating these
Yes.
groups is essential. Thank you, Faaeza. Again, thank you for accepting our invitation. And it was great having your informative session. And we're all inspired, inshallah, to move forward and look at the positive outlook after this pandemic. Thank you so much. I would like to just announce our next webinar next week, which is going to be with Mr. Ahmed Al-Ghamdi, VP of People at STC. And he's going to talk about jobs of the future. And we're very excited to have him. And we hope that you can join us. So please keep a lookout at your emails on our social media channels, and we hope that you join us. Again, my name is Faaeza Al Katheeri, and I was honored to be your host today. Faaeza, again, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and stay safe and stay home.
Thank you so much. Good night.
Thank you. Bye.